Yo, before this video starts, do keep in mind a lot of the people in it are either kids or just stupid. So don't try and dox anyone or anything like that. It's probably more effort than it's actually worth. So I've been watching this situation unfold for quite some time, even leaving quite a few comments to see what people will say. They're sort of like, virtual landmines, bait, whatever. And it mostly seems to form around this brainlet called NAXINET, or at least he's the most popular. Popular to hate, that is. I'll be honest, the people around him are more interesting. But essentially, NAXINET for a while seems to have been making quite a lot of generic videos, pumping out song after song that no one seemed to give a shit about. So whatever was he to do to get a bit of attention, to get some, views, subscribers, people who actually care about whatever the fuck he's doing? The answer in his eyes seemed to be making an FNF mod about real dead people. And Technoblade or something, I don't know. And if I am going to be honest, that stuff is pretty cringy. And I'm actually a fan of FNF, and its mods. Not even I can find this shit funny though. People do believe that he's a troll, and I can see why, but these screenshots seem to prove that he most likely only ever started this for, like I said, attention. And even if he was a troll, it's not like he'd justify it, so I guess it wouldn't make a difference. And despite the majority of comments hating on him, or generally just insulting him, which makes sense in my eyes, of course people are going to hate you for that, there was some supposed supporters of this. However, they seem to all be kids, which is a bit of a bra moment. They seem to be 15 at best and 6 at worst. One of them I remember talking to, only for them to claim that they didn't actually like him or anything to do with him, but they only defended him because they just like the music, but then claimed that they thought the mod was a disgusting idea and shouldn't be made. And then to go along with that, I also met another person with the exact same story, except this time we ended up becoming friends and chatting on Discord for some time about art and crap, so that was kind of funny. Granted though, it shows that a lot of his supposed supporters don't actually really like him, they just like the music, and only pretend to defend him because they want him to keep making more music for them. He's essentially being used. His friends are faker than Faker himself, and that's pretty impressive. However, there did actually seem to be some people who seemed genuinely supportive, and didn't have a problem with the mod's concept, or just how much of a dick move it was and whatnot. However, upon looking at their channels, it seems that a lot of them were actually just literal children, which is pretty sad. But a lot of them also attempt to be edgy and offensive, but don't really know how to do it, considering they only seem to know about Ronnie McNutt and no one else. At this point, everyone and their grandma knows about that. But there's a difference between a troll and a clout chaser. One wants attention and the other one wants to get people mad. But these people seem to be different. But if you look at the channels, they all seem to be reaching for attention. In fact, some of them even get offended if you call them out on it, quite a lot of them poorly defending their actions or getting annoyed at anyone who comments something mean to them. In fact, one of them even made this low-quality apology video.
Why do I make the videos I do? Like, with the Shuby, Ronnie McNutt, Gleb, shit like that. So first off, one, I want to do it to piss people off, to be a troll. Two, for clout. And that has been proven. My two most popular videos are based on these things.
And of course now it's just been admitted that this whole time they really did only want attention and or clout. But now you might be wondering, why did this person make some weird apology video? And my general guess is that it's probably due to this YouTuber called Rags, or however the fuck you pronounce that. They've been essentially going against people who do this shit for quite a while, as it seems, and I would say they've been getting more attention than any troll could, like holy shit! But despite it being reasonable to get annoyed that someone else is trying to use someone's suicide for a bit of attention, this person was harassed quite a lot. In fact, supposedly they even sent gore to their friend, supposedly they've been told to kill themselves, and one of them even threatened to dox them. Along with this really weird threat where they said they were going to feast on their flesh instead of doing evil villain plans. Yeah, that's what they call this. This one isn't even trolling, this one is evil villain plans. Also called NAXINET foolish for some reason. I don't know, maybe Nexit's not even on board with doxing, despite how much of a dick he is. There's also this guy called Program Lover who doesn't have many videos, so I don't know if he is also clout chasing, or whether or not he actually is a troll, but if so, he's not doing a very good job at it. I mean, just look at this. No one's going to fall for that. Overall, though, this is just some cases in a sea of cases. But let's move on to Nexit himself. So I've actually been planning this video for quite a while. In fact, I've actually just been leaving tons of comments essentially going against the mod, and now waiting for responses. That's kind of the whole point of them. It's how I was able to find out about most of who's defending him and who's not, and who actually is and who actually isn't. Nexit himself, however, well, he only occasionally does, but when he does, it's usually terrible. An example is this one where he simply claims he doesn't care, which... yeah, I'm sure that's true, buddy. I'm sure that's why you've been replying to every single comment that's mean to you and defending yourself. Or why you made this obviously passive-aggressive community post. Or why you called a child a big pussy because they don't like you for obvious reasons. Now obviously this hate does get to him based on all of the responses, however it's not like he could even show that it gets to him and kinda has to put on this I don't mind or give a fuck act because, you know, if he just said, man, guys, stop hating me, please, you know, obviously people would just capitalize on that, so, you know, you can't really be open about it. I'm not saying stop, though, as if we look at some of the things that he said, he's quite a dick, even to people that help him. Like, apparently one guy that made this little image for him for his crappy mod, yeah, apparently he decided to call him a pussy for not wanting his name attached to it. Understandably, might I add. Like, who does want their name attached to that? But, you know, apparently because he didn't want his name written all over it, suddenly he's a big pussy and Nexit hates him. Along with calling anyone who disagrees with him or doesn't like his mod completely soft, you know. Definitely not because you're trying to use dead people to get attention, it's because they're soft. That's totally why. I don't know how he became so detached from the real world to the point where he doesn't seem to realize that, but I guess he did. As if that makes any sense. He also made this golden response where he claims that my Discord makes fun of you, but he said it twice, which is understandable, yeah. I mean, people that join his Discord are obviously going to be people that like him or like his mod, so no shit. The same thing happened in the server I was in, except in reverse, and it was against Nexit. But this response does kind of help to support my theory about how shit like this even happens. So how does this stuff happen? Well, what we do know so far is that it seems to start from a lack of attention. And since we know that a lot of his supporters seem to be children, the reason as to why people end up like this seems to be as simple as they want attention, so they do something offensive. The majority of the attention that they get is negative, but then they get some support from children who are also doing the same thing, and only group up with these people to make themselves feel more justified in doing it. Because, you know, if a large group's doing it, that must mean it's okay. And then they all collectively boost each other's egos and compliment each other, which then makes people want to do it more. Though Nexit himself is an edgelord who wanted some attention, and now his ego is essentially on life support with the only people sustaining it being literal fetuses. But the majority ends up hating him despite what he claims, and in fact he's very heavily outnumbered. And then there's my opinion on the whole thing. Personally, I don't think it really matters since this probably won't go anywhere. This is pretty much the modern version of J-Station's making a 3am video on someone who's just died thing, except with cringy FNF mods instead of that. Although, considering his few loyal supporters, I would assume that it's also kind of similar to Maximilian Muss, but on a much smaller scale, although he ended up being terminated. And no surprise too, no channel has ever actually survived off of doing shit like this alone. They always end up either getting called out and terminated, or eventually just get forgotten about. And that's no surprise. You can't expect to maintain people's interest with the same few jokes over and over, especially when their nature ends up making people dislike him or heavily criticize his work. But tell me, what do you think about this? What's your opinion? Comment it. Or you could just, like, take a nap. It's probably more interesting than this, at least. This shit sucks.